Welcome back to Your Real Estate Voice with Barb Schlinker. It's the weekly radio show that informs and educates you on how to buy or sell real estate with Barb Schlinker, host of the program and the owner broker of Your Home Sold, Guaranteed Realty. Now, Barb, I would think that most home sellers want the most money when they sell their homes, of course, but it's a guessing game to figure out what a buyer would pay for their home. Do homeowners get the highest price when selling their home? And how do they know that their home is going to be sold?
Well, I mean, I think most home sellers are worried about leaving money on the table if they underprice a home or getting caught being asked to pay for the cash deficits of the buyer. Like I was looking at a sale yesterday in front of a client in their price range, and it sold for higher, but the buyer negotiated for 18,000 loan closing costs to be paid for by the seller. That's a lot of money. It's like, really? And the double-edged sword is, what if the appraiser comes along and says, oh, well, it's not worth that much. Well, the seller's already committed to shelling out 18 grand for that buyer. And if they come back and walk the price back, there's not much they can do other than, lower the price and net less money. So it doesn't always work. You really have to calculate whether or not it's going to be successful in the end. But most sellers, they don't want to leave money on the table and they want to get the most money. But a lot of them will say, well, I would like to have like a fair price for my house, right? They're not, most sellers are not looking at, just way overpricing. And it always hurts them when they do it in ways of, what happens is the house could go on the market overpriced and it would sit on the market. We get very few showings, just here and there. Nobody's really serious about buying it. And then at the end of the day, what happens is the seller ends up lowering the price, and time goes on. The buyers kind of feel like the listing is stale. They're not very interested in it anymore. And, it ends up selling for less money than had they gone on the market at the right price in the first place. And, I've walked, shoulder to shoulder with sellers trying to get that higher price where it hasn't worked. And it's really frustrating. It's frustrating for me because of all the time and effort I'm trying to promote that price when I knew it probably wouldn't work. But at the end of the day, the market's going to tell you, and they're going to tell you fast. They're going to tell you probably within the first 30 days if you got that right. So you don't want to do it. And then the buyers always assume there's something wrong with the house. So if you don't get a lot of interest in the first probably 7 to 14 days, there's a problem. You should make a move. And then at the end of the day, what we see is that the buyers, if they're actively looking right now in the market, they kind of know what's going on in the market in their price range. They know what's new and what's not new. Some houses they're actually just keeping an eye on and hoping that you lower the price into their budget. That happens too. But at the end of the day, they're watching it. Some agents are watching it, but actually the demand is the highest when it's fresh and new on the market. And buyers are like, oh, look at that one. That's really nice. If it's priced right, they're going to come and go see it. And I don't recommend that you go out there and price for what I call negotiating room. That's a big mistake because it will prevent some buyers from even coming to see it. They'll say, oh, well, they want too much. I'm not even going to go look at that home. I can always tell within a day or two when I put a home on the market whether or not it's going to go fairly quickly. I'll start getting a lot of requests for showings. I'll get agent calls. I'll get buyer calls. That tells me, okay, we got it right there. But if it's really quiet, if we're kind of ghosting and they're just poking around on the internet looking at it, chances are we didn't hit the right price. And so you really don't want to lose that momentum that you have when you introduce the home to the market. And the reason why it doesn't work is because the buyers really know if it's priced right or not, and they just won't come and see it if it doesn't fit their budget. So one of the good strategies is to create competition. In other words, price it intentionally below similar sales. We just put a house under contract yesterday with that strategy. We knew that it needed some work, but not horrible, just not updated. Like the kitchen counters weren't granite and it didn't have fancy appliances and stuff like that. But it was a good buy for the size home, good location, and good price. And so we had a huge crowd, 49 people at the 1 hour open house, and ended up getting it under contract within a few days. So that there would have been one or two other offers, but it fell off. So maybe not quite low enough, but just kind of in that sweet spot where we can make it work. Another way to do it is what I call slightly below. It doesn't take very much in this market to create demand with proper pricing. A lot of people think, oh, well, she put that house on the market way below what it's worth, and that's how come she's selling homes. No, it's not that. I want to get the most money for the seller too, but my experience has been the way you get the most money is if you price very realistically. And then the buyers are coming in high. They'll come in over asking price sometimes. I had one last year where I ended up getting 3 offers, 50,000 over asking price, right? That's creating proper demand. And that way the seller could make his decision about which one was the best offer for him. That's really fun. The other thing is about first impression. So most buyers don't want to buy a home that needs work unless they're investors. Like we have the condemned home on the market this week. And yeah, those are investors. They're looking to, bang nails and make it look pretty and turn around and resell it and make a profit. A totally different category of purchase. I'm talking about the type of homes that a buyer would want to live in. Sometimes you can price it at such a point where the buyer could move in and actually do their own work on the home, but that is not full retail. It has to be a little bit below current market values. And we do that all the time. But at the end of the day, it's important that the home is clean, that they can move in it. And I sell homes that are taken back in foreclosure by the VA on a regular basis. Many of those homes are not move-in ready. Many of them, the plumbing is broken or the drywall is broken. And so nowadays, with the prices being higher, the buyers are more than willing to buy a home like that if it's priced well enough, because they can actually finance the remodel into their loan and get a really good deal on the home and be able to pick the improvements that they want. But at the end of the day, the full marketing strategy includes high quality photos. I can't believe there's still agents out there using their smartphones to take pictures of homes. And you can really tell by the narrow photos. You ever seen them online, Richard? The little narrow, dark photos of homes?
This is one of the biggest transactions you're going to make in your life. And it's going to be amateur hour when it comes to presenting what it looks like. Seriously.
Yeah. I mean, when you think about how much of a commission is, 3% of the average price of $530 or something like that, just pick a simple number, it's $15,000. Real estate agents, really? You can't spend $200 to $500 on professional photos to make 15,000? I don't understand it, but they do it all the time, and I don't really get why. And we do professional photos even in our fixer-upper homes because we know how critical that is. So some of the big mistakes that home sellers make in general are that maybe they price it too high just to test the market, but you're going to kill that momentum when you do it. That's the problem with it. Or occasionally they'll over improve the home to a point like, let's say all the homes around it don't necessarily have quartz counters and Corinthian leather, right? You don't have to go that far. It just has to be move-in ready, especially with flooring. Most of the agents just kind of put homes in the MLS and hope somebody will bring a buyer, and they just ignore the whole process. So most of the people are paying attention to the homes that newly hit the market. So that's why that first 2 weeks to 30 days are absolutely critical when you go on the market. So if you'd like to book an appointment with us, you can give us a call at 719-301-3900 or go to barbhasthebuyers.com and get on my calendar, and we'll do a free pricing strategy on your home. It's a really good exercise. Whether you use us or not, it doesn't matter. We love an opportunity to help you make that transition. My name is Barb Schlinker. I'm the broker owner of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty and the host of the show, Your Real Estate Voice. And we're talking about how to get the highest price on your Colorado home without guessing or without overpricing. And next up, we'll talk about pricing strategy that wins every time. Fisher?
You're listening to Your Real Estate Voice with Barb Schlinker of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty, and you can reach her at 719-301-3900. We're talking, Barb, about how sellers can trade up to a new home. What are some other things that a seller can do if they need to sell a house before they buy their next home?
Well, if you're in that situation, it is a dilemma because you want to get the highest price, but then again, you need your equity out to buy your next home. So we've got a whole bunch of options where you can actually buy your next home and move at your pace. And we're going to actually talk about some of those in the next segment. But, at the end of the day, a lot of people fear that their house is I've had people tell me that I'm afraid you're going to sell my house too fast, so I'm going to wait. And that's okay, no problem. And a lot of people, until they're really confident that they have that destination in their mind, they don't do anything. So it's all about the 4 P's: preparation, picking the right agent, pricing it right, and presenting it on the market properly. But you want to make sure that you get the highest price. We even have cash offers where you can have the cash offer as your backup plan. And I've had home sellers use the cash offer as their backup plan when the traditional high-priced attempt did not work. But really the best way to do it is to price it what I call very realistically versus optimistically. In other words, slightly below what similar sales are indicating and very competitive against current competition. And I would look very hard at the ones that are getting contracts right now, because those are the ones that are moving for one reason or another. And if you want to discuss all the options about pricing and how you make it happen, I've helped people do this multiple dozens of times every single year. And it's very fun for me if they decide to price it right, because I know it's going to work. I just know it when they pick the right number. But it's not my decision. It's the seller's decision in every case, not only about how to price the home, but also what offer to accept. So if you'd like to find out how that works, you can give us a call at 719-301-3900 or go to barbhasthebuyers.com. Richard?
Barb, you and your team are the only company I ever recommend to people who are out there thinking of selling their homes, downsizing to a smaller home. They can always call you at 719-301-3900. You're listening to Your Real Estate Voice with Barb Schlinker, host of the program, owner-broker of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. If you're thinking of making a move, 719-301-3900 or visit barbhasthebuyers.com. We'll take a break. When we come back, we'll be discussing the biggest mistakes that people are... Oops.